Hello class, and I can't believe these words are about to come out of my mouth, but welcome to this Battletoads walkthrough right here on Video Games 101 by way of Let's Play with Brigands. I'm your instructor, Professor Brigands, and when we started this channel, and actually when I started my main gaming channel, Let's Play with Brigands, over a decade ago, I knew this day would come, and I'm proud to say that I believe I'm ready for it, and I use the word "I'm" advisedly. We'll talk about that in a moment. We're right at the end of a month in which we've been doing walkthroughs on scary games, which is appropriate because in some ways this is the scariest game ever made given the difficulty. In other more real ways, it's not. It's just a game about muscular toads, but in terms of difficulty, Battletoads is objectively the hardest game on the NES. Enemies can stun lock you to death, easily knock you into pits, and speaking of pits, there's about 1,000 of them, both in the opened as well as spike line variety. There's countless instances in this game where, unless you know exactly what's coming next, you stand no chance. And this isn't a short game either. There's roughly a dozen levels, so you need to remember a lot of things, and even if you know what's coming, unless you have a lightning-fast reflexes, there's still no guarantee that you'll survive. A lot of games you can run again and again and again and eventually master. Battletoads is not that game. I'm completely qualified in saying this, but much of the extreme difficulty of Battletoads is extremely cheap. Add all of this up, and I'm going to do something completely unconventional and give Battletoads an 11 out of 10, which is mathematically impossible, but that works out because a lot of the levels of this game feel impossible. I hope that thing's still under warranty, by the way. On the frustration scale, this equates to playing Battletoads. Now, I know some of you might raise your eyebrows at that, but just like a diamond is the only material strong enough to cut another diamond, the only thing in life which you can equate in terms of frustration to playing Battletoads is playing Battletoads. There's nothing else which registers on the same scale. So the regulars of this class will know that I'm normally joined by my 3 faithful and knowledgeable TAs, Blaze, Fluff, and Gary. It turns out they won't be joining me today, the reason being that they all have a clause in their contracts which allows them to skip 1 class per semester, and wouldn't you know it, they all picked Battletoads. I probably should have anticipated this considering it's called the Battletoads clause, but never fear. I know it's last minute, but I was able to track down 3 replacements this week, and, well, they showed up. We'll see how this goes. I'm still confident we've got a great class for you. So let's run the intro, take a deep breath this time, and get into this Battletoads walkthrough right here on Video Games 101. Alright, let's begrudgingly start a new game of Battletoads here to kick off this Battletoads walkthrough. Watch out for those psycho pigs with a K. What do they think this is, Donkey Kong Country? That's not one of the Briggs notes, by the way, watching out for the psycho pigs. That's the least of your troubles as we take a look at the controls now for Battletoads. Pretty standard, double tap a direction to run. The main button you're going to want to familiarize yourself with is the start button, which allows you to pause the game and get a brief moment of relief. Don't leave it paused for too long, otherwise you'll start questioning why you're playing the game, major life decisions, things like that. But there is a very nice beat to that pause screen, I have to say. As we take a look now at the Briggs notes for this Battletoads walkthrough, the keys to beating this game. First, A plus B plus down plus start on the title screen gives you 2 extra lives. Can't hurt, right? Number 2, watch this class about 1,000 times to familiarize yourself with the various levels, the vehicle levels in particular. And finally, pray to your DOC, that's deity of choice. Maybe ask why this game exists. That's a common one, popular one. Anyway, AI is all the rage these days, and since we don't have Blaze to go over the items, I've hired an AI to do it for us. Hello AI, I see giving you a sample of Blaze's work has helped you with your machine learning. Can you tell me about the weapons of this game?
Retrieving instructions for how to build a bomb.
No. Just tell me about the pipe.
A pipe is a hollow tube typically made of materials like metal, such as copper or steel, plastic, such as PVC or PX, or clay.
That's great, but maybe in the context of Battletoads, please?
Battletoads for the NES, Nintendo Entertainment System, is a popular video game release.
But no, AI, stop. You can whack dudes with pipes in this game. Just tell me about the flies.
Flies are a diverse and highly adaptable group of insects belonging to the order Terra. They are characterized by having just one pair of
AI, stop. Look, I'll talk to you later, okay?
Calling your mother!
Stumble my way through this boss fight. I don't know what's going on. We have a boss expert. But now it's too late, so we'll have to bring him in later. Anyway, yeah, just pick up the balls and throw them at the screen as long as you're relatively in the middle. Try to avoid the middle of the screen, and that basically worked out. Psycho Pigs with a K again. Alright, so in the grand scheme of things, relatively speaking, these first two levels are easy as sin, so in this stage, just make sure you stay on top of the birds so they don't cut your line. But while we have a relatively easy stretch, we're going to take this opportunity, filling in for Fluff today with some fun facts about this game. Here's Fuzz, everybody. Hey, Fuzz.
Hey, Professor, what's going on?
Hi. It is Fuzz, right?
Yeah, most of my friends call me Buttercake, but, yeah, Fuzz works, that's fine.
Alright, well, what is that? Are you drinking during class?
What? No, it's just little Hair the dog, Professor. Helps me get my facts straight, you know what I mean?
Okay, well, can you give us a fact about Battletoads?
That's the one with the two paddles and the ball that goes back and forth, right?
Buttercake, you gotta get out of here.
What? Come on, Professor, I need this gig. Come on, I can do the job.
Well, I did write down some facts, but I can't really read them right now. I guess you could read them.
Alright, yeah, that's what I'm...
Do you need to be excused?
Nah, I'm alright.
Alright, well, just read this then, will you?
Hey, whatever you say, Professor.
Oh my god.
Alright, right here.
Yes.
Yeah, alright. Battletoads was created by Tim and Chris Stamper, the founders of well-known video game developer Lair, the company behind classic titles like the Donkey Kong Country series. That's a funny name, man. GoldenEye 007, and of course one of the most frustratingly difficult video games of all time in Battletoads. The Battletoads characters were inspired both and created to compete with the massively popular Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the early 90s. The Battletoads characters have appeared in a handful of games in the Battletoads series, a popular crossover with Technos' Double Dragon, and as playable characters or cameos in games like Shovel Knight and Killer Instinct. The Battletoads even spun off a half-hour animated television special intended to be the pilot for an animated series in 1992, but ultimately, the show never got picked up. Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, Buttercake, thanks. Actually, that makes sense now that he mentions that. All the Psycho Pigs with the K, them being the creators of the Donkey Kong Country series, where they used Ks for everything, everyone in the Kong clan. Be careful with that. Anyway, just earning some points here. You can see there's that trick. If you just keep whacking the bird against the wall, you can keep getting your point multipliers up like in a Mario game, and gotta watch out for them here. They don't cut your line, and you can just keep getting never-ending one-ups. Of course, we need to be very careful that we thread the needle with these electrifying systems here, for lack of a better, but there you go, that's the level. Hope you enjoyed it. That's the last easy level in this game. It only gets much more difficult from here on out as we're heading into the infamous Turbo Tunnel. Now, a lot of folks famously call this one of the most difficult levels in the history of games. The ironic thing is, in my opinion, after playing this game many times, more times than I'm willing to admit here in this class. And by the way, make these jumps at the bottom so you give yourself a bit more real estate to jump onto. Hit these guys before they steal your health, and if they get one, you can punch them get them back. Sometimes they send more than you can cover, so just make sure you get the group that come at once, so you don't spread yourself too thin. See, we have combos that we just keep attacking them. They're just kind of come naturally. Have a couple flies there. You can see AI didn't help us earlier, but we can use those to get our health back. If you're gonna do a combo on these guys to kick them or punch them off the screen, make sure you do it in the middle of one of these islands. Otherwise, if you commit to one of those big boots too close to the edge, you can easily fall off the edge, and yeah, it's a bad time. All right, very difficult point in this stage. First really difficult test here in Battletoads. Generally, the best technique here is to start moving a little bit early. That's the only way to make these transitions. They start you out slow to kind of get you acquainted with the speed, how this works. Gotta make the jumps on the low ones and then just maneuver up and down. Give a checkpoint at least in case we die, we get to restart there. Make sure you hit the ramps. Otherwise, you will not make the jumps here. Now we're just weaving in and out. We're speeding it up a little bit here, just stay ahead. Don't extend yourself with each movement that you do, don't go too high, don't go too low. Just making really efficient moves up and down, trying to stay ahead without being too far ahead. That was very close on that jump. You can see there. Do have to jump to hit that ramp right there. And you got these cats dropping additional obstacles, which in the grand scheme of things isn't too hard. The pre-existing ones are much more difficult. And we'll have another checkpoint coming up here. One more checkpoint after this. We're about to enter the hardest stretch. I like to come up on the front here to make those jumps, then move back. Once we get into the walls, make sure you jump. This really is just one of the, and I find if I stay at the top here, jump when you need to, just use that hang time. Right here you want to stay about in the middle. You want to touch down right in the middle of each of these pads. Don't go too far up, otherwise you'll overshoot it. And there's a warp area right here on the 5th bottom one, so right there, if we hit it, you can see that explosion. If we hit that, and you get a warp. There it is. One of the most stressful moments of anyone's life, right there in that final stretch. Hit that warp though and you get to advance 2 levels. We're obviously going to show you the whole game, but I just wanted to point that out. Into the Arctic Caverns now, where we're back to more platforming, which I find are the easiest parts of this game actually. It's all relative. It's all really hard, but compared to some of the vehicle levels, I'll take this. You can jump on the ice blocks and pick them up in some cases. We'll need to break some barriers later. Sometimes we need to throw snowballs, but while we have some downtime, just follow along here. Against my better judgment, I'm going to bring back in Buttercake for another interesting fact about this Battletoads. Buttercake?
Alright, so Rare founders Tim and Chris Stamper got their start developing games for the ZX Spectrum British home computer in the early 80s under the name Ultimate Play the Game. When they heard of the Famicom's release in Japan from Nintendo, they got a hold of one and broke the lockout security to reverse engineer the console and figure out how it worked. Now, believing their console to be impossible to be reverse engineered, Nintendo, they were so impressed in a meeting with the Stamper brothers, and granted the new company, Rare, I guess they used the name, yeah, that last name, Ultimate Play, that's awful. Rare's much better. They gave them an unheard of, unlimited budget to develop games for the Famicom. They even waived the 5-game-a-year limit they instituted on most publishers. All total, Rare made over 60 games for the NES. I've never even made one. Which, according to a Rare team member at that time, Rare was looking to make as many games as they could in this window of opportunity, given their deal with Nintendo. Now, despite the breadth of titles they were involved in for the NES, none of these came close to reaching the level of difficulty involved in Battletoads.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty difficult, almost Battletoads difficult to replicate the difficulty of this game. Thanks, Buttercake. That went pretty smoothly, actually. Alright, ride the platform here. Grab the 1-up if you like. These are stacking, by the way. So, just know that we have more than the lives it's showing right now. It's adding them to our total, which is nice. Actually, they're giving us 1 for once. I'll take that. So we're going to need this ice block for the lower part. It will smack into you if you're not careful, but we can tame it by jumping on it. We're going to use it over here and just jump to get a little momentum here before this shell hits you. And we're just going to hide behind this wall, throw the ice block down so we can break that barrier. Grab a couple flies there. They get stingier with the flies the later the game goes. Be very careful. If you're too close to this snowman when he gets back up after you knock him down the first time, he will smack you off the screen. Basically kill you. He'll knock you into the spikes or you'll be dead. And duck under the first 3, jump over the next one, repeat the pattern until this barrier's knocked down. This should do it right there. So note that if you jump on this elevator, it'll start to go back up as you take pressure off of it. If you ride it all the way back up to the top, there will be the second warp of the game, which will once again advance you 2 levels. So if you want to do that, that's how you do that. But again, we're going to show you the whole game, so we're skipping that. Be very careful when you go underneath the barrier. Be quick enough, otherwise it will squish you to death. Ride this down, jump. Just like that, we've beaten the 4th level. Not an easy feat. Gotta say, I'm more in the TMNT camp between the 2 games, considering that game doesn't give me dark thoughts, but the Dark Queen, I think I'd take her over Shredder. Just saying, I think a lot of us would. Anyway, on to Surf City. We can't jump in these things, so we just need to weave between the logs here with this timing. I generally recommend hanging in the back for the most part. Gives you more time to react. Anticipate where they're going to be at different times as you see their pattern. Launch off here to get that 1-up. With these whirlpools, generally one is favoring the top and one is favoring the bottom, so I just kind of alternate between the 2 as you can see right here. Not too difficult. If they catch you, they'll pull you in and kind of swirl you around, do some damage. Watch out for the Space Invaders guys here. Don't chase one across the screen while there's 3 more going for your health bar, so just keep that in mind. And I understand Buttercake has a relevant fact about that.
Alright, so earlier I talked about the Stampers reverse engineering the NES to figure out how it worked. Everybody remember that?
Yes, go on.
Alright, yeah, so the pair of the brothers, they got their start in programming by fiddling with old Space Invaders circuit boards. Now, that's a game I remember. Buttercake can get down with some Space Invaders right now. Well, check this. There's a nod to this classic space shooter as Space Invader-style aliens, referred to as Vaders in the game manual, move in and steal your energy bars at different points in the game. I like that.
Yeah, well, anyway, yeah, just keep smacking that guy in the corner, that sumo dino, and he'll go down as you stun lock him. Here I generally prefer to stay at the bottom of the screen when it comes to these mines. Let's do that after we hit this ramp right here. I don't know if it's my imagination. I know it's random, but it just feels like you get less of them down here. And you can see how close we came on some of these, and we're still able to miss that 1 up there. But yeah, for the most part, we're pretty safe at the bottom. And just a couple more mines to skip here on the other side, and that was a gimme too, it felt like, and we did it. Be very careful, you can, with that last one, you can still manage to hit that. Sometimes it's kind of cheap, because it'll lock you in with your momentum, and if it's right in the middle, you might hit it regardless. But anyway, on Karnath's Lair, where reflexes are a must, they start you out slow, give you the lay of the land. You'll see if you jump, you can shimmy on up one of these snakes. Just kind of automatically does it for you. So it's an interesting twist on the platforming mechanic. Not just normal platforms that you'd have to jump on or even ride. In this case, it's just the one. It's constantly shifting, going up. You'll see that if you start hugging it like we did right there and it's above you, then it'll automatically launch you up. So, alright, so here if you run to the right of this spike, just run straight right down to the bottom right of the screen, there will temporarily be a warp available right there. It'll be right down here. It's gone if you go the way that we went, but if you do catch it, then you get to once again warp ahead 2 stages. The final warp in the game. Funny how they put all the warps early on in the game when things are relatively easier. Yes, it gets much harder than this as we gap the spikes right here. Make that jump as the snake is disappearing into the next section of the wall. And we're gonna jump once again to catch the next one. We're moving pretty quick here. Just make sure you jump into that out. And we are getting more difficult. Again, reaction speed is absolutely key here. Hand-eye coordination to hit some of these very tight windows you have to hit. Just drop down here. Make sure you're all the way against the wall so that the timing works out. You have snake to land on. Make sure you jump a bit to the left there. They're kind of generous. Kind of seems like I bashed my head on the spikes, which would be an instant death, but they give it to you as you're moving to the left there. That's how you get through there. We're gonna gap this right here. Be ready when you come out of this next one. It's very fast. Nothing to do here, no reaction. This next one, get ready. We have 2 to gap. And there we go, first death. Even gets me sometimes. Certainly wasn't expecting a no-death run, especially with some of the levels we have upcoming. That's alright. You live and learn. Thing is, unless you run these levels back to back again and again and again, lots of trial and error, it's very difficult. That's how you gap those, though. That was a little safer that time. Just wanna meet whatever sadistic rare employee came up with this. I don't know if it's one of the Stamper brothers, but this particular level, a lot of the levels really. And just use this one to psych yourself up for this next one. You need to do a big jump and then a quick second. Yeah. But you don't want to jump too early so that you hit that middle spike. Very difficult. We'll get it. We will get it. Generally burn through at least a couple lives on this one. That was a good example of how generous they are when you're making that jump. As long as you don't go straight up into that leftmost spike, then they'll give it to you. It's like they know, if we got more difficult things coming on, we'll give you that one. Quick jump here, ride it across. Ready for this next section. Gotta jump 2. There we go. Alright. And then into the out right there. Don't miss that. Otherwise it'll be all for naught. This is how I like to do this one. Just gap that and go straight for that platform right there rather than trying to land on the snake. That one section at least. Gotta have some nice hang time to make sure you catch that because it's not right up against the wall in that instance. At least we're maintaining a slower speed here. So you can't ride it down, otherwise you won't have any room and you'll hit that spike, as you can see. So you gotta jump, and that's how you do that. That is a tight window to make that jump. You gotta wait till the very last second on that tail to make sure you jump on the head. Be really hot and bothered by this little sizzler. Thank you, Professor Bird. That's literally his name, by the way, Professor Bird. From one professor to another, that's not helping. Imagine how much easier this game would be if it was nothing but beat 'em up. Like a Double Dragon game. Almost makes you wonder with everything else that makes this game so hard. Why even put in the beat 'em up part of the game? It's like you just want to torture people with your insane platforming, but same rules apply here. Don't get too close to the edge. In this case, you want to jump in the middle of these platforms. I find you have the most runway when you do that versus the top or the bottom. Good rule here is to judge once to see how far that log comes. Kind of align your eye with the background of where that log hits before it turns around. I know this by heart now, so I'm just going for it, but while we're still doing some relatively easy beat 'em up action here, there's gonna be some cats that fly in, just keep punching nonstop when they come. You can knock them off their little, just like that. Buttercake, can we get another quick fact about this game?
Battletoads has gotten a lot of ports over the years, and this even included a port to the Nintendo's rival, Sega's Genesis system later the same year. The Genesis version features enhanced graphics, music, and even turns the difficulty down a bit to make the game almost bearable.
Bad time to lose a life. Yeah, I would be very interested in an easier version of Battletoads, I have to say, but that's not what we're teaching today. Speaking of not easy, this part's hard. All I can say is follow along. We have to hit these gaps. Otherwise, it's an instant death. We get electrocuted. Rare must have felt really comfortable with their deal with Nintendo to go ahead and do that, though, make the game for Sega. Probably a testament to how much money they were making for Nintendo, but anyway. At this point, we want to stay in the back, but then they're going to do the move right here where we need to stay more in the front to make sure we clear these in time. Middle's not a bad place to be, actually, so you actually have time to register what's going on. I like to stay at the bottom for this part. They're pretty generous with which ones actually hit you. See how close we can get with something that would have hit us, but there's a 1-up in the middle here in a second if you want to grab that. I recommend staying at the bottom because you can tell it's just a lot safer. Like right there. That probably should have hit us, but we're still relatively safe down here, so a lot less movement required as we make the next checkpoint. Now the ridiculous missiles, I like to stay in the back for the most part. Note that when they switch from the bottom to the top and vice versa, generally staying in the middle is the safest place so that you can react when they switch rather than being at the top when they're coming from the bottom and then instantly switch over from the top and you get hit. So this is madness. That's the only word to describe this. Got a little lucky there. Forgot to mention there's a 1-up at the top as the frame rate is beginning to suffer. I'd say I'm beginning to suffer, but that started a very long time ago. Stay at the back, move up front for this 3. Right in the middle, that works. And we have to alternate. We're very close now. Now they're going to give us a heads up as to where they're coming. Very similar to Turbo Tunnel, actually, except I would argue a little bit more difficult. So far, not too bad, but they're giving us less and less time here. Good lord. All right. We are more than halfway done this game. Actually, that might have been 7, so we're making progress here. Duct in the Gargantua. Be careful, Toads. Can't you just drop us in with the ship? Intruder, Excluder. Alright, finally some no pits. Bit slower paced action. I will gladly take that at this stage in the game. Don't get shocked by the electricity when you're going between these things. We have some poison to deal with in a second. I like to jump over this, just get as close as I can to this beam, and then sneak in between. The ball won't kill you, but it will knock you down and probably set you up to get hit by the next one, so it's a 1-up if you want to grab it. Kind of difficult to recover from with that position, but we're going to skip it. Bet on ourselves at this point. I know which levels I'm better at. These guys just kind of bounce around. They'll grab onto you if you let them, but Not too bad unless you have two of these to work with. Maybe throw it to the left there. There we go. Just work the gap. Time it up right. Get that second jump in or duck. Been a while. We actually have a boss coming up at the end of this stage, so we'll finally get to bring in our filling in boss expert for the day, our guest boss expert, which I don't really know that much about. Watch out for the, and it does quite a bit of damage to those shocks. Yeah, watch out for those poison clouds that they shoot at you. That's an instant death. You just have to be very quick and then be ready to duck when you jump to the next. There's a fun little move while you're ducked, by the way. You can double tap a direction to kind of get that slide in. It works pretty well when you need to. And watch out for these fans suck you in for an instant death. Kind of a humorous animation of seeing your Battletoad stuck in the fan. I'm sure it's agonizingly painful for them. Believe me, I can relate playing this game. A lot of this level's just about timing, though. Alright, it's about to bring in our resident boss expert for the day. This mysterious, shadowy figure wouldn't give me his real name. He prefers to be called the Unknown Avenger. So, class, let's welcome in the Unknown Avenger. It's the Unknown Avengers, Master Mashers.
Robo-Manus. Keep your distance when he's in the air. Jump as he touches the ground to avoid getting shot. And drop next to him and punch. Watch out for the extra jumps later in the fight as it gets a bit more antsy, the closer it gets to death. Keep this strategy up and you'll take him down. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Tua, I guess I'll call you for short. Yeah, watch out for that gun. Good call. Kind of reminds me of Belger at the end of Final Fight. Good beat 'em up game. This looks like something if DuckTales was for more mature children, kind of teenagers, like a darker spin on it. I could see this enemy being in the DuckTales universe. Come on. I do love the combo animations though, the boot, whatever our head is for that particular level, like a ram or the big punch glove as he steps on us. Turns us into street pizza. There it is. All right. Difficult boss. Moving on. Nasty. Maiming something. Like you, for instance. All right, into the final quarter of this game. Well, I guess after this stage, strictly speaking, into the Terra tubes. Very difficult platforming here. We're gonna have to be very quick. Like you haven't heard that one before, right? Float down here, note the course we have to take to avoid the spikes. Watch out for the lightning, obviously. The strangest enemies of this game are on this stage. I won't even have to point them out when they come on the screen, you'll just know. These go up as well, like something out of Willy Wonka. You've had too many fizzy lifting drinks. Alright, be very quick here and stick to this exact pattern. Just hug the wall there and that'll disappear. Stay on the inside to avoid those spikes. And we're gonna jump at the last second to avoid that. Jump out of the water to get a little extra speed since it's slowing us down. Just hug the walls here. Once again, hug the wall at the end. Go left to avoid the spikes, and right to avoid the spikes, and left to avoid the spikes. Again, this is something you'd have to run and jump up here on the ledge to the right. This is something you'd have to run many, many times to survive this. You just have to know. This part is extremely difficult. These little eel-like creatures will shock you. There's also some sharks. There's spikes. Pretty nasty. Rivaled in its danger only by SeaWorld. Gotta thread the needles here. We haven't even come up, and it's difficult to get the momentum at the top of the water and make that jump. Be ready to not get shocked by this thing. Took some damage there. That's alright. I like to just sink right down there. Avoid the fish here. Pop out of the water. The hardest one is about to come up, actually. So enemies will spawn from those holes. We have more electric eels. I like to lure that one away so I have a little bit of breathing room here. Same idea here, but they start to all... Yeah, that's the problem. And then they can kind of stun lock you. And you got the sharks to worry about. There's a 1-up, but you'll probably get killed if you go for it. And they're not done. And we have this spinning razor disc coming at you. Go low that time to avoid that. Just above the spikes. This is just who hurt you, Stamper Brothers? Hug the left side there. Someone did a number on them, and they're pain. Yeah, couldn't get under there. That's alright. This is a very respectable level to lose a life on, or 2, or 3, or 30. May or may not be speaking from experience. Yeah, someone did something very nasty to the Stamper Brothers, one or both of them, and this is how they're getting their revenge. They just put those feelings into game design, and this is what came out. Once again, drop down to have that pass over top of you. This is a tricky little jump right here. Go down and get that 1-up, but it's disappeared if you've gone too far to the left like we did there. That's alright. Let's alternate right and left here. And there's the enemy I was talking about, right on cue. The most innocuous looking bath time rubber ducky is one of the most dangerous enemies in this game. The strategy for them is to get the combo in, but you need to make sure that you're going to finish your combo. You don't kill them, you just lay them out for a second. You have to make sure that you get the punch in, because if you're too far away, you'll swing and miss, and the duck will go insane on you like it did before and kill you. So make sure you can get that finishing combo to pacify the duck. Good lord. Shark's not necessary. The swimming is difficult enough. Adding a duck here, just float down. And if you've actually done this, maybe I should hire you as my next TA. Fill in for the ones that couldn't be bothered to show up today. There we go. That is one of the hardest stages in this game. Certainly the hardest non-vehicle stage. Alright, we have another platforming level, the rat race. It's sort of a vehicle level without the vehicle. We need to be very quick here. We have a moment before it gets too crazy. Mind the gas. And right about now, the rat's gonna warp in. And don't worry about running at this stage with the double tap. You'll be running automatically. We can punch the rat to knock him in the opposite direction. That doesn't always help us. The main thing is just to hit these gaps as quickly as possible, which, again, comes from memorization, and then hit that bomb before the rat shows up to detonate it. That first one, hard as it was, is essentially the training for this stage, and got a little... got a little careless there, a little impatient. Lost a life, that's okay. We still haven't eaten to our visible lives, so that's good. Still have at least 5 or 6 in the tank. You see the rat just spawned in. Give him a punch there. Eventually the punch is gonna waste more time and do more harm than good, so that's probably the last punch. It's really worth it. You can do a running headbutt, and if it lines up well enough, then you can use it while you're still kind of moving to hit him and send him in the opposite direction. Get rid of that bomb once again. Believe it or not, that was not the most difficult one. We have far and away the most difficult upcoming. Don't worry, the timer hasn't been activated yet. After we drop down here, it's gonna start down here. Alright, he's warping in. Now, you'll get discouraged because at one point he will get ahead of you. That goes without saying. But you'll make up for it in this stretch when he needs to go back and forth bouncing off the walls, so just lost some time there. That might cost us, actually. The margin is razor thin on this particular one. There's the headbutt I was talking about. Once again, he's probably going to pull ahead here. Oh, that worked out well. It's all about threading the needle here. And this is going to be so close. Oh, no, that's going to cost me. Going for the punch there, that was a waste. And, oh, this is going to be... Did not think we had that one. All right, Tua, what do you got?
Master Mashers.
A general slaughter. Punch him at a distance to begin. Don't get too close, or he'll hit you with his head. But, couple of these, and he'll start moving around. When he's going slow at the start, just attack him from behind with a running headbutt. Eventually, he's going to get too fast for you to get away with this. At this point, you want to get on one side, just stay on one side. Jump when he comes over, and as you're landing, punch. Just keep this process up, he'll get faster and faster, but he won't be able to hit you. You'll take him down. Otherwise, a very difficult boss, but if you stick to this strategy, you shouldn't have too much trouble. Good luck.
Thank you, Tua. So far, so good. I had friends that, when I was a kid, who referred to the bosses of the stages as the master. Never used that term myself. He's speeding up here. Can we get the, there we go. Oh, and then he just smacks you around. You can't really, yep. That's what he warned me about. All right. Maybe let's try the wall approach at this point. We get the hit in. Yeah, we definitely can't get the... There we go. Okay. Let's just stick to this wall. There we go. All right. Good call, Tua. Only TA I can count on today. Wow, that worked really well. Actually, that worked suspiciously well. Huh. Anyway, we just have a couple stages left now. This is Klinger Winger. You could easily argue this is the most difficult vehicle stage. I keep saying this, but your reaction time needs to be just impeccable for this stage. Hold down the direction the arrow is pointing, and make those transitions just at the right time. It takes some getting used to, and even then, you may run through all your lives very easily on this stage, but I'm going to concentrate on this. Buttercake, I'm told you have a fact about this particular stage.
While this game is well known for its two-player action, due to a bug in this, the penultimate level, which renders the second player unable to move, this game is literally impossible to be beaten with the second player. I can't imagine a bigger slap in the face to a pair of players who they toiled and they grinded to memorize the last 10 levels to get to this point, only to find out it's a glitch, which would finally take them down. Note that this bug, it's specific to the original American NES version of the game, and it didn't affect the Japanese Famicom or the European NES versions of the game. We got screwed, Professor! America! America! USA!
Yeah, thanks, Buttercake. I'm just trying to focus here. You see on these straightaways, that's when the enemy makes up the ground. Oh, this is gonna be so close. We're so close to the end here. Left, down, and right, and I think we have this. All right, boss time.
Master Mashers.
And to actually turn on the lights.
Boss Beaters.
Professor!
Gary, what are you doing?
Listen, I couldn't leave you alone for this one, Professor. This is the hardest game on the NES, and I know the bosses aren't the hardest part. They're not even that difficult in the grand scheme of things, but I couldn't live with it. I had to be here for you.
Huh. Well, thanks, Gary. That means a lot.
Don't mention it, Professor. Let's take this one down, too. Alright class, the Hypno-Orb. Do headbutts in the open until you reach the side. Note that the orb jumps can crush you, so be very wary of that. Retreat to the middle and just repeat this strategy. Keep moving when he leaves the screen. Watch out for him when he comes back down because he can crush you, but if you keep moving, you should be alright. Good luck. You're moved on to the final level.
Thanks, Gary. Well done. Good to have you with me. As the man said, class, we are headed into the final level, the Revolution. Extremely difficult. No surprises there, right? So after we take down this enemy, we can grab onto that bar up there and have ourselves a little makeshift weapon, which the longer you can hold on to it in this stage, the better. We can actually, do the dive into those enemies. It's pretty effective. As they mess with the 2 dimensions, they push the NES to its limit right here. Pretty good. I have to tip my hat, actually, to this stage. As much as this game is the bane of my existence, I have to admit this is a pretty cool effect for 1991. Anyway, the first half of this stage is pretty straightforward, so let's throw it to Buttercake for one last fact about Battletoads. What do you got for us, Buttercake?
In 2011, a prank call movement was organized online in which callers would prank the gold and silver pawn shop. I know that, yeah, home to the reality television series Pawn Stars. Calling up and asking if they sold Battletoads over and over. Oh, that's a good, I gotta remember that one. Callers recorded the owner of the store and the star of the show, Rick Harrison, I know that guy, his angry reactions, and uploaded them to YouTube. It actually gained enough notoriety that Rare themselves acknowledged the prank via an achievement named Do You Have Battletoads when the game was included in their 2015 compilation Rare Replay game.
Alright, thanks, Buttercake.
Wait, Professor, what do you say? You gonna bring me back sometime? I think that went alright.
Thanks, Buttercake.
You got it, Professor.
Are you... Okay. Anyway, watch out for these enemies so they don't suck you in Kirby style. You just avoid these cloud enemies or we can smack them. To your call. Might just skip this one right here, just chase it that way and hit the next platform there. Perspective's a little funky. Yeah, I got hit by the bubbles there. You can thread that bubble needle, but fortunately it sends us back down here. We're running a little low on lives. Getting a little uncomfortable that we can see some empty hearts there. Don't have too many more chances. I know Gary's gonna have a good strategy for the final boss. I just gotta make sure I get us there so we can finish strong. That's a good strategy for these guys when they open their mouths. Again, Kirby style, just jump, get close, and beat the snot out of them. Not as fun when you don't have your little makeshift pipe to attack the enemies with. Alright, yeah, just stay in between the shots. Not too bad when you're not moving, it's just when you have to move to get to the platform, that's when the perspective gets a little funky. Got a little premature there, need to take down. Not too bad if you just give him a punch when he gets close to stop him in their tracks. There we go. Gotta do this a couple more times since we are pipeless at the moment. Kind of in between, it's like in Double Dragon where you know you've done enough damage but you have to get him on the ground. Or not the case. There we go. Got an extra life back at 800,000. Mind the spiked balls. The platforming gets more challenging at this stage. This final stage. We have to be very accurate with our jumps here in a moment. Once we get some localized storm clouds. Ride this all the way around. Thankfully we don't have any enemies. Making things more interesting at the moment. You can't tell me this is the most efficient way to get to the Dark Queen's top of her tower. Just airlift us in. Alright. Watch out for the bike ball there. And this is when you need to grab one of these. Just withstand it and they'll leave. And you move on to the next one. The timing's a little... Gotta do a leap of faith there at the end, and the hang time will be just enough to save you. Checkpoints are pretty unforgiving at this point, so you really... Not really saying anything new. You don't want to die at this stage in the game. And we're confusing the game. That's not gonna work. We're gonna need that. Need that to come around. That was kind of cool. But yeah, jump on another one of these, hold on. And lining up some of these, like just picking the right moment to drop off of the platform is difficult enough, but... Four hits with the pipe. Gets the job done on them. You're so close at this point. Our ration Zits, so close to rescuing Pimple. And Princess Angelica, that always got me. It's like, which one of these things doesn't belong? I feel like it should be Princess Cyst or something like that. I'm sorry, class. Princess Pustule? That works with the alliteration. Holding on again here. And they just hit you one after another at this point. Have to be precise with your jumps, with your releases as well. I just like to burn through here so that cloud doesn't even have a chance to blow us off our mark. This is where the controls really shine. Tight and responsive, just making these jumps. And we finally made it. Final boss. Gary, take us home.
Boss beater. Alright, class, we've made it to the final boss. Congratulations, and you'll be pleased to know she's not that difficult. The Dark Queen. Do headbutts at her feet when she's low enough. This always works if she's just off the ground. You want to avoid her when she's at the full cyclone, all yellow spinning around. Otherwise, you can get these headbutts in a lot of the times, even when she's not that close to the ground as you can see we're doing here. When she's higher up in the air, you can even jump and punch her feet when she's spinning, or half spinning I should say, above you. Again, watch out when she's full cyclone, but keep this process up, you will take her down, and how about that? You just beat arguably the most difficult game for the NES. Arguably the most difficult game in video game history. Congratulations. Glad we could be here for you.
Agreed, Gary. It's good to have one of my TAs on hand for this. Thank you very much today. Buttercake had his moments. Yeah, I think we'd really have to screw this up at this point to not win. He really is the, arguably the easiest part of this entire game. Just kind of crazy after everything we've been through. Getting a little hasty there, getting sucked into that tornado, needlessly. But yeah, these running attacks work very well, and there we go. Oh my god. I'm sorry, class. It's a strange feeling knowing that I'll be dead before I ever play this game again, but it's the truth. And that may sound depressing to you, but I would argue that it might be the most comforting thing I've ever heard in my life. So there's Pimple, there's Princess Angelica. I'd like the sweet smell of success to clear out those clogged sinuses. There goes the Dark Queen, just kind of floating away. And there's Zitz getting the credit, I suppose, or was that Pimple pulling up Angelica? That might have been what happened there. Okay, good. Yeah, Zitz didn't. It would be impossible for Zitz to get credit, given that glitch that Buttercake mentioned on the Klinger Winger. Anyway, Dark Queen is defeated once again. Don't say it once again like anyone's ever beaten this game before, retreating into the shadowy margins of the galaxy to recoup her losses. Until the next time. Again, there will never be a next time for me, and I love it. Thank you so much for attending this class. This one's been a long time coming. We did it to celebrate a major milestone on this channel. Speaking of which, if you haven't already enrolled, please click that subscribe button. We do one of these classes every single week. We'd love to have you enrolled. And click that like button if you don't mind. It really does help us out. Leave a comment. How far have you gotten in this game? If you've beaten it, talk about that. Do you have any tips that we may have left out? What do you think is the most difficult level of this game? And that should do it. That's our time. Thanks to Gary and the Ringer TAs for this one. And we'll see you next week in the same spot for next week's class right here on Video Games 101. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and comment on this video and click subscribe if you haven't already, as this seriously helps me to keep making great content for you. And check the description of this video to see what song is playing right now.